The gray ship sailed serenely through a spectacular early morning twilight. A gentle breeze played across the vessel's bridge, bringing a faint, earthy smell that mingled with the familiar tang of salt water. Only her large battle ensign, snapping briskly in the breeze, belied the tranquility of the scene. The USS Tarbox, the Navy's newest fast frigate, so new that her paint still smelled fresh, cut smoothly through the gentle swell. The bow wave curved up almost to where her hull number, 72, was painted on her bow. Her Spy 6 Victor 3 radar searched out to find every contact for hundreds of miles around the warship, but Commander Malcolm Fritz, Tarbox's skipper, was much more concerned about one particular return. That one marked the bit of land just appearing on the horizon off his ship's port bow. He could barely make out the low-lying island from his perch on the port bridgewing. Only a few months ago, North Danger Reef had been a conglomeration of coral and rock, just barely emerging from the warm waters of the South China Sea. Marking a point at the northernmost end of the Spratly Islands, the reef had earned its name honestly, sending many an unsuspecting ship to its doom. These days, though, North Danger Reef appeared on the electronic charts under a new name. Dongduo Island was the newest bit of Chinese government-claimed sovereignty in these waters. Even if some of the islands hereabouts had barely enough dry territory to erect a flagpole and flag. The Tarbox's orders were to challenge that sovereignty claim. She was to steam boldly past the newly claimed real estate, conducting what were termed FONOPs, or Freedom of Navigation Operations, figuratively thumbing their noses at the Chinese government's assertion of ownership. But something else had changed besides the island's name. A new airfield and missile launchers now fit on what had become a man-made spit of sand barely large enough to hold the improvements. China made no attempt to hide their purpose. They were meant to reinforce China's claim that all of the South China Sea was within her territorial waters. And beyond that, the Middle Kingdom could and would deny any nation the right to traverse that water, violently if need be. Dongduo Island was merely the newest in a chain of airfields and anchorages that the People's Liberation Army Navy had constructed, ranging from the Spratlys in the south through the Parcels and right on up to Hainan, the island province that marked China's southernmost point. Lately, the Pilan had been making noises about extending their claims all the way to the Riau archipelago. That would effectively close off the southern entrance to the South China Sea, while the Chinese continued to rattle their swords about claims to the Dongsha Islands at the northern end, chillingly near Taiwan. Pilan warships had been spotted frequently circling both areas from a menacingly close distance. The Indonesians did not say very much about incursions into the Riaus, but the Taiwanese complained loudly to anyone who would listen every time the Pilan sailed too close to Dongsha. The heightened tensions were only one of the reasons Commander Fritz was concerned about these FONOPs. The other was because his crew was every bit as new and untested as his ship. They had completed their workup training and left Pearl Harbor only 2 weeks prior. A quick couple of days in Guam had relieved the tedium of a long ocean transit, but the crew was distracted, anticipating arriving in Singapore. It would be Tarbox's first-ever foreign liberty port. The tales that the couple of old salts aboard had been sharing about the delights to be found in the tropical city had everyone anxious to speed across the intervening distance. And that was exactly what they had been doing, until just before sunrise.